So I just woke up from a long sleep. Not that long ago, because I think we got in here by 10 o'clock yesterday, so I ended up sleeping by 11. Now it's 7:30 and I'm up. I am in Osogbo. Thank God for, journey mercies. We made it here in one piece. Peak top 10, one of the most uncomfortable journeys I've ever had in my life, but I guess the ends will justify the means. But aside from that, I think our Nigerian government has a lot to do when it comes to, giving people the barest minimum. Nigeria is a country that doesn't cater to the less privileged, and let me explain. So this journey, we took it by road. My mom had a conference here in Osun State, and I decided to follow her because there is no way I would have been able to navigate this journey on my own. My Yoruba is not that good, so my mom, of course, is my resident translator, and she would be able to get me a guide to go to the Osun Osogbo Groove. So it made sense for me to just hop on the ride and come with her. So because we're coming straight to Osogbo because her conference starts today, we took a bus, right? And let me tell you, when I say this is one of the worst road trips, some of the roads were literally like a stream, as if it was a little passage in a stream. And the thing with Osun is that there isn't an airport here, so even the governor, if he's coming to his state, he has to possibly fly to Ilorin, then from Ilorin go by road to Osogbo, or fly to Ibadan. What the flip? I had to stop the video because guess what? I saw an insect in my room, and of course I had to run for my life because I cannot be consumed by a dragonfly this early morning. Jesus. Chronicles of Osogbo living, I guess. I don't know how it got here. It was what kind of insect is that? I don't even know. But me and bugs, we don't gel. And it was flying. Jesus, you see the way I ran. Thank God it wasn't a cockroach because God, I beg. Anyway, so where was I? Right, I was saying if the governor of this state is coming to his town, he has to drive. Either he'll fly to Ibadan, then from Ibadan he'll drive to Osun, or he would fly to Ilorin and then from Ilorin come to Osun. So really, the roads are in a state of, they are in a deplorable state. It is not good enough, right? Because the truth is, no matter how you look at it, people would have to commute to these regions, and if that's the road that people are taking, then it's understandable why Nigerians are so angry like 90% of the time, because when the barest minimum isn't functioning, of course it creates like an animal out of a person. Like when you go to countries that are developed like the UK, the US, people always talk about, oh, fantastic transportation system. There is of course flights are standard, cars are standard, but then there are trains, there are buses, there are trams. There are so many ways that people that might not necessarily be able to afford a flight can commute, and these things are just the barest minimum. These are the things that show your population that you actually care about them. Why can't we have good roads in Nigeria? Like, why? Is it rocket science? When I passed my state, Kogi State, oh, trenches. The road was terrible. It wasn't as bad as, I think the worst road was between Ondo State, which is my mom's state. I don't hear me. From Ondo to Ekiti to Osogbo to Osun, God, it was horrible. So really, Nigeria, we can really do better. This is the reason why tourism, it will be very hard for tourism to be big in Nigeria, because basic things like the roads we don't have. How are people supposed to commute? Even if you fly from point A to point B, there are places where you would have to take a car. There is no other route to navigate, except the road. And then the road is literally like a string in a pond. Come on, So anyway, I came to Osun to visit the Osun Osogbo Groove, which is a very popular World Heritage, UNESCO Heritage site, supposedly where the Osun goddess was while she was alive. Now, a lot of people have asked me, even my mom when I was like, she was like, okay, are you trying to become Ye Osun? One of my uncles was like, are you trying to become Ye Osun? Like, you can confide in me. I love my family because they see me like this loony cooney, right? But nobody wants to outrightly say like, Tutu, are you okay? So they'll rather just be like, oh, don't worry, feel free, you can talk to me, what's going on? And I think that just also further points to one of the reasons why I wanted to visit. Nigerians are very closed minded, and yeah, I love my family for the fact that they accommodate my excesses, because a lot of other families, this might be considered demonic. Oh, what are you trying to do? You're trying to dabble in black magic. You're trying to get involved in African spirituality. Is evil, is barbaric, is voodoo. This is what we have been taught about ourselves for the longest. And this is one of the reasons why this channel, Africa Living with Adiza, was born, because I feel like, why is our tradition, our deep culture, shrouded in so much secrecy, and the little parts of it that are outside are said to be very evil, negative, barbaric, blood suckers? Oh, look at our Auntie Kemi Bad Enough that came out the other day and was saying she has dissociated herself from the barbaric traditions of Africans. Why do we talk about ourselves in this manner? Is something I can't wrap my mind around, and it speaks to the deep self-hate and identity crisis that a lot of us black people are entrenched in. But this is not the morning for a Martin Luther King speech. But anyway, I came here because I'm exploring. Yeah, that's the word. I'm exploring that aspect of humanity, how things are done. If you go to China, their shrines, even though people are not necessarily, in that line of worship anymore, but they preserve the shrine, they preserve that part of their culture, because culture is something that is a part of you. Your tradition, your ancestry, your ancestors are something that you cannot expunge yourself from. No matter how hard you try, your ancestry would always be your ancestry. And I believe that the farthest a person can go starts from how deeply they know themselves. A lot of us Africans run from that knowledge of self, and if you don't know who you are, how can you have pride in who you are and what you've achieved and what you've been able to do when you don't know who you are? So for me, this is kind of like a journey to self, in a way, journey to understanding. For me, religion isn't necessarily about following something. Most of all these like African gods are just archetypes of the different types of humanity that you experience, which I feel a whole lot of religion is. It's talking about the arc of humanity and the different archetypes that you would experience whilst in this journey, and it appropriates some type of spiritual powers to these archetypes, but at the core of it, it is still rooted in humanity and the nuances of the human experience. So it's not an experience to come and worship or come and delve into demonic practices, or however people would look at it. This is an exploration in understanding. And yeah, I think I've yapped a little bit too much, so I hope you enjoy coming with me to the Osun Osogbo Groove. And yeah, I'll see you when I wake up. Bye. when we finally arrived, we got in. We paid 1,000 per person. So me and my tour guide, we paid 2,000 naira. Then I paid 1,000 naira extra for my phone because I didn't go with my camera. I think it's 1,500 if you have a camera, 1,000 naira if it's a phone. So it's quite cheap. And then we got a tour guide. That was this man. I can't remember his name now, but he really took his time to explain to us, you know, the symbolisms, some of the mysteries of the place, what, you know, some of these designs entailed and all. And then for the tour guide, you, according to them, you pay him whatever it is you want. At the end of the, you know, interaction, you just give him something, but there isn't any fixed price for what it is that the tour guide will be paid.
You call this Omele Bata.
Okay.
Omele Bata, which means baby drum.
Baby drum.
You call this Baba Bata. For you to understand it to Yoruba, Omo
Baba.
So father of the drum.
Okay.
You call this masquerade of Opeleba. Opeleba is a sort of masquerade in which you use to caution the strength and the power of the king. Because the Yoruba believe that the king is next to the Eledumare, which is our Almighty God. So when he's going beyond, look, Akeke call it masquerade to caution him. So whenever the king sees him holding this cup, he will know that he wants to use this cup to stone him.
Okay.
So when he stoned, he didn't touch the king. The king will not tell him, you have stoned me and he didn't touch me. He will not say, if he didn't touch you this year, we are going to see by next year again. It's like a spoon for longevity.
Okay. I see. So one thing I like about these walls is that they hold stories. So it is not just an ordinary wall with designs. These are telling stories from the masquerade to the town criers to the vintage lady, the 16 eyes of Ifa. I think that was what he said. There are so many stories, you know, intertwined on this wall, and the people that took their time to be this creative, this detailed, is very amazing to see. I mean, if we had to go through every single one of these stories, we'll be here forever. But I think you should go there to find out, because every single one of these stories are linked to the intricacies of the culture, the tradition, the ways of life, and even mysticism that still applies in today's world. Finally, we made it to the entrance of the Groove. This signboard that you see here is representing the Osun Osogbo Festival, which actually held just like a week before I went there. The Osun Osogbo Festival happens every year in August, between July and August. So I commend the governor of Osun State actually for still keeping this vibrant tradition alive, because a lot of people come from all over the world to, you know, honor the goddess and what it is that she does in the land of Osogbo.
They were walking beside the river and a tree fell into the river. And there comes a voice and said, Laro Timeyin, Bobo Ikokwaru Mileti Photo, which simply means Laro Timeyin, you have broken all my tithe and dime pots. And there comes another voice and said, Oshoibo, Jowo, Mama Shebini, which simply means wizard of the forest.
Don't be angry.
From Oshoibo, we come to know today what we call Osogbo.
Okay.
And from there, Osogbo now said they should be worshipping her. How do they worship you? The lady that named your man should be bringing a substance inside the calabash to them as an appeal. So the first one they took there, a fish pour water inside that calabash, and that is why you see them, they always say, Lao Omatowo Borele Noga. Which simply means Lao, the one that receives a gift from the golden fish.
Wow.
And that is how the title of a church of Osogbo land becomes noted today. And you can see it has become a culture in Osogbo as festival that they do every year.
Yeah.
Like if at this time of last Friday, you can't come in. The whole place
was full
and fucked up.
Wow.
So that is that short picture about this place.
Wow. So from there we met the goddess of fertility, children and prosperity. This is the goddess that people come to, according to our guide, whenever they are seeking children, they are seeking, the fruit of the womb, and then they make their sacrifices there and they get their children. Then further along, we met Eshu. Eshu is commonly known as the devil, but I mean, in Yoruba mythology, Eshu is actually more like a trickster, a god of like vengeance. So, according to our guide, he's the one that people come to when they've been wronged and then they want some kind of vengeance. So, they drop their sacrifices there and they get their answers. Finally, we got to the lair of the goddess. Ideally, people take off their shoes when they are entering here, but because we are not necessarily worshippers, he asked us not to take off our shoes and just come in with our footwear. So, entering into the goddess's lair, there are different places that you see. There is the place where the priestess, some of her priestesses still sit in, they make their prayers. That's this hot showing right there. And then the little ties of cloth around at different sacrifices that people have come and made at different times for different prayers and aspects of worship as well. We finally made it to the mouth of the river. This is the famous Osun Osogbo River, and this white statue is meant to represent the goddess. As you can see, there are lots of monkeys here. There is a very popular African myth that people use monkeys as seers, the way like the Mexicans and the rest have black cats as seers is the same way Africans have monkeys, in the sense that they see spirits, they see the supernatural basically. So it wasn't a surprise that this place was literally overrun with monkeys. So our guide was telling us that at this place you have to take off your shoes, because this is the holy of holies basically. If you're going into the water, you have to take off your shoes. So people were there already saying their prayers, worshiping and all that, and apparently you can take out of this water is rumored to have healing properties. You can take out of the water to cleanse yourself. I don't know if you can drink it. Please don't go and drink it and say it's me, because a lot of people put their feet in this water. But he said you could take this water, you could bath with it, you could stand in it, you could say your prayers. So of course I took the chance. I entered into the water, I said some prayers, I covered my hair, I poured the water on my hair, and it was, I don't even know how to explain it. It was kind of scary, but it was exhilarating at the same time, because when I was walking into the water, the guide kept saying go deeper, but I was just like, oh, before this water will come and carry me to where I don't know. Look at how I stumbled, because there was something that seemed very slippery under the water, like slimy, and I was like, oh, ew. So as I was trying to not step on it and my mind was running left and right in what it was, I almost fell. But yeah, it's still part of the process. So I said my prayers, I thanked the infinite for being here and experiencing all of this for whatever it's worth. And yeah. By the time we were leaving, some real Osun worshippers had come to do some of their prayers, collect water, and different things. I was curious, to see more about what they were doing, how they were praying, and all of that, but we had to leave. So we went to the next stop, which is the famous Osun Osogbo Bridge. This is the bridge that was used to transport goods and services back in the day. According to our guide, the bridge was built in 1935 or something like that. I can't remember. But yeah, it has been standing ever since. People usually cross the bridge when they come on the tour, but how rickety it was looking, and because it's rainy season, the water was so full, I didn't want to risk it. So we ended the tour with the guide explaining to us about the Ifa religion, or the Ifa spirituality, because for ancient Africans, it wasn't about religion, it was about lifestyle. Spirituality for them was more or less a way of life, a way of conduct, rather than a set of rules and regulations that they had to follow. So he was talking to us about Ifa divination, asking me if I had ever been for an Ifa divination, and of course, your girl's curiosity was piqued, and I was like, all right, let's go for that. So he told us about the turtle or tortoise, which is a very ancient figure also in the Ifa tradition. It's an animal, but it's also a bird, in the sense that it used to take sacrifices up to the gods, because some sacrifices, according to him, were not meant to be placed on the ground. So this turtle's job was to take the sacrifices up to the sky. So this was pretty much the end of the tour. He told us, a bit more about some of the surroundings. Susan Wenger, one of the popular British Osun priestesses, and her role also in making the Osun Osogbo Groove be sustained even up till this time. As we were leaving, we saw some French nationals who came all the way from France. Well, not necessarily all the way from France. They came from OAU University, because they came on an exchange program, but they had heard about the Osun Osogbo Groove and they said they must visit it. So it's always amazing to me when I see people who are not necessarily Africans, deeply interested in our culture, in our spirituality, in our traditions, but we the core Africans will rather run away from it. Like I said at the beginning of the video, this is not saying that anybody should delve into anything they don't understand, but this is just trying to say that it is important for us to have at least an open mind concerning who we are, where we came from, and what life was like before modern day spirituality basically took over. So thank you so much if you've watched till the end. I appreciate you being here, and stay tuned for my video next week where I go for my Ifa divination. Trust me, you wouldn't want to miss that. All right guys, I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.